What's cracking, y'all? Thanks for tuning in for another video. My name's Karthik Ramaswamy. Glad that you're tuning into another video. Tonight is on Archangels. How are we going to talk about the Archangels tonight? So, the Archangels are pretty cool beings. If you haven't experienced them yourself, you really should experience them. I imagine that's why you're watching this video, to learn how to contact them. It's slightly different than the way that you contact other entities and spirits. Archangels specifically are very clean feeling, but they're powerful. They're extremely powerful. Just a couple weeks ago, I evoked an archangel named Uriel, and that was a pretty powerful experience. As far as evocation goes, I'm not that experienced. That was my first evocation ever of evoking an archangel, and like I said, I'm not that experienced whatsoever. So I didn't have a two-way communication with the archangel. It was more just me being aware that Uriel was present. And knowing that he was present, I communicated with him. I could almost see him in the corner of my room. I didn't see any angelic I didn't see a being that looked like, obviously, like an angel. What I saw was that, imagine that there was a part in my room, right? There's a part in my room that's always like that, the way it is, and just this part at night is lit up a certain way. I felt like whenever I contacted this archangel, that light that is normally there was then occupied by the archangel. So it didn't appear in the form of any winged being, or I didn't hear the archangel being present. I just knew that that's where the archangel was at that time, and I was communicating with the being as if that's where it was. Anyway, all that aside, I want to talk about how to actually communicate with these archangels. Or not necessarily communicate, but to kind of work with them. So, for instance, if you have a desire to work with an archangel, there's a few certain things that you may want to know. First of all, what are some techniques? What are some methods to go about contacting them? Well, the Gallery of Magick describes a couple techniques, and I find that combining techniques from various different sources has worked for me, and that has led to the technique that I'm about to show you. I believe that everybody needs to have their own experience with magic in general, and contacting spirits, and working with magic in general. The more practice you experience, the more you experience working with the spirits and working with magic, the more you develop your own technique, and your technique becomes personal to you. And nothing can really trump your personal experience. Your experience and your technique that you formed throughout the course of your entire working with magic is what will guide you in your entire magical endeavors. So, first of all, whenever you have the sigil in front of you, let's pretend that the sigil is right here, right? I don't know if you can see this red on my hand. I got ink from work earlier. So pretend that you have the sigil in front of you, and when you're looking at the sigil, you kind of take it in. You kind of take in what's in the sigil. You don't necessarily look at it, you look past it. So if it's sitting right here, you kind of defocus your eyes and just like let your subconscious soak the image of the archangel into your mind. After that, rub your hands together. When you rub your hands together, sometimes a good clap is good too, because the clap kind of disrupts the energy that's around you. When you clap and then you rub your hands together, imagine the four physical elements: earth, wind, water, and fire. Imagine that you have the four physical elements in the palm of your hands. If you want, you can picture something that kind of represents all four of those elements, like being at the base of a volcano where you could see the fire and the smoke. That represents fire, but you could feel the strong breeze hitting you, which is the wind. And then you're standing on the earth, and behind you, imagine that there is the ocean. So you have those four elements encompassed within you, around you. And as you rub your hands together, you're basically imagining the four elements however way you choose, or you could choose to have them in your hands, the four elements, and you combine that with the spirit or the ether, which is the fifth element. This is basically just like opening the door to become in a magical state of mind, which is like in a roundabout way, kind of entering gnosis, but it's not true gnosis, so to speak. It's just opening the doors to the magical realm. Because now you're in a magical mood, you are controlling the elements in your hands, and then you're ready to go forward with contacting the archangels. So after you do that, right, after you do the alchemical transmutation of the 4 elements, you want to look up to the sky. I'm gonna try to give you a visual, right? So you do this to bring the elements, and you have your hands like this, almost like you were saying, come in, my friend. So you go like this, and you tilt your head up. Doesn't matter which way you're facing. If you face forward, it's fine. Right, left, doesn't matter. Go like this, and you say Naka Yahweh. Right? I'm gonna do that again. Bring the elements, Naka Yahweh. And that's like a very powerful statement. You are entering that gnosis. You are entering that magical state. But depending on which method that you use, whether evoking or invoking or asking them for whatever, or using a sigil for protection or something like that, each ritual has its own specific instructions, and I'll kind of not really talk about that. What I want to talk about is magic in general with the archangels. So another tip that I know, and this is also from the Gallery of Magick book, is anytime you see an archangel's name, you sing it. You sing the archangel's name. The archangels really like when you communicate to them through singing. It's super easy to do that. You don't even have to do any complex singing. You don't even have to be good. They don't care if it's good. So something else, something as simple as Raziel, Raziel, or just like bring the notes of every syllable has its own note. Or you could do Raziel, 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 something like that. It doesn't have to be good. Like my voice sucks as far as singing. So, but the archangels don't care. But that's how they know that I'm contacting them, is when my voice is going up and down. I feel like the energy and the frequency at which my voice resonates contacts them. It brings them into it brings me into their attention. That's what I'm trying to say. And then another trick is anytime you say an archangel's name, you imagine a blue flash of lightning really fast. What I like to do is I like to imagine that the lightning is coming from the sky, hits me, and then goes right back immediately. And this is in conjunction. While you're singing the name of the archangel, the lightning hits you and goes back up into the clouds. Something about that blue spark ignites the contact with the archangel. So singing and that lightning bolt together is a good way to contact the archangels. Another way to contact the archangels, if you are in an evocation, if you are practicing evocation, you may not be good. I'm not good. But the best way to do it is just to assume that the archangel is present. The best way to do that is just like start talking as if the archangel was there. Even if you don't feel anything, even if you don't sense anything, even if you don't hear anything, just start talking to them. Most likely, when you have attempted to contact them, they have been contacted. And when you have contacted them, they are there and they're listening to you, whether you can see them or not. So go ahead, guys. Enjoy everything about Archangel Magick. It's a very good, positive experience with archangels. One thing that I need to mention before turning this video off is when you work with angels, when you work with archangels, you are not necessarily working with spirits that are close to our physical reality. The archangels and the angels vibrate at a much higher frequency. They are so far above our physical reality. Demons are really close to our physical reality. So when they actually go about and make changes in our reality, they're manipulating reality. They're much closer to our physical vibration. So they can manipulate reality much easier. So when you call on demons, you're able to manifest certain things much easier. Like when you want results in the physical world, demons are very good at that. But when you look at archangels and angels, they operate on a much higher frequency in a sense that the things that you ask of angels and archangels, if you're asking them for manifestation, expect it to take a little bit longer than necessary or than you may want, because they are working from a higher level and they're working in the grand scheme of things. They're working on stuff, on reality, as far as in a way that it affects the grand scheme of things. So they may be working to get you the manifestation that you want, but it will be much further in the future. Let me try to rephrase it in a different way, that how the angels work. You will be able to get the results that you want, but the best things that they're best at is internal changes. Internal changes are so much easier for the archangels and the angels. For instance, if you want to learn how to break a habit, you will contact an archangel, and over time, much quicker than the demons, the archangel will be able to work with you, because they work on a higher plane, and being able to contact the archangels works a lot better because it's an internal change. It's an internal change, and the archangel can actually work with you much easier as opposed to working with the external world. So there you have it.